I want to come in here today to talk about something that is top of mind for a lot of app founders right now and a lot of entrepreneurs just in general. And that is whether or not you should pivot your app idea because of the coronavirus and because of everything that has happened in the world because of the coronavirus. So, before we go any further, if you're new around here, my name is Kristen, and I'm the co-founder of Coaching No Code Apps. We help business owners and industry experts build apps to help start or grow their businesses. So, listen, a lot of people in the app space and online business right now are suggesting to pivot, to make massive pivots with your business plans, your ideas, your services, uh, and everything. And make sure we're still good here. And it's led to a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. And I want to talk about why. So, first, who am I talking to, right? Well, this applies to you if, number one, you've already validated your app idea. So, before the coronavirus happened, before all of these changes happened, was your app idea already validated? And in other words, uh, was there a problem that you had identified? And did you have a way to solve that problem for your market, right? Was your app idea valid? And number two, are you starting with an MVP, a minimum viable product, right? An initial first version of your app? Because if you are, that means that you can move quickly to correlate with this massive demand in apps we're seeing right now and the demand that we're going to continue to see after all of this for the next, months, year, and more. So if you are in those two camps, if you said yes to both of those, then this applies to you. So should you pivot? Well, as with many big questions, it really depends. Okay, so number one, it depends on the problem you are solving and the current state of your target market. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and open up my whiteboard so we can go through some things. Okay. So there is a spectrum that businesses and consumers all fall on. And it looks like this. So over on this end, we have the repair or fix side, right? In the middle here, we have maintain. And we're going to go through what all these mean. And over on this end, we have scale. So your target market is going to fall somewhere on this scale right now. So over on the fix or repair end, this is really where your market has a very specific problem. It's a very pressing and demanding problem that they need to fix right now. And it's sort of like a make it or break it problem, right? They need something fixed. And to be clear, right now, I'm talking about just in general. This is not in the scope of the coronavirus. This is just in general. So think about your target market, right? Where do they fall on this? Is your target market a business who needs to fix something or repair something? Are they experiencing a problem that needs immediate attention and that can be solved in the form of an app, right? If yes, they're going to fall on this end of the spectrum. Now, over here in the middle, we have maintain. And this is where, your market, they might have a problem that could be streamlined or improved in some way, but it's not such a damaging problem that it is, kind of make it or break it for them, right? There are things that they could improve or that they could streamline or optimize, and that would help them. But not fixing it wouldn't necessarily cause them more damage, right? Does that make sense? So then over on the scale side, this is when your market has significant growth opportunities and your app can help provide them with those growth opportunities or help them take advantage of those opportunities. So your market will fall somewhere on this spectrum. So what you need to ask is 3 different questions. So number 1, where did your market, your target market, fall on this spectrum before coronavirus? Right. So where on the spectrum were they before the coronavirus happened, before we started experiencing all these changes? Where were they on this spectrum? You could probably put them relatively easily in one of these areas, right? In relation to, right, your app idea, the problem you're solving, okay? And the next question you need to ask yourself is, where are they now? Okay, so now that we are experiencing all of the effects of the coronavirus, where does your target market fall on this spectrum now? Because a lot of markets have changed, obviously, right? So some that might have been on the scale end are now in the repair or fix zone. So ask, where were they before and where are they now? And then the next question you need to ask yourself is, where does your solution, and when I say your solution, I mean your app, where does your solution fall? Okay, so where's your solution? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what does your app, or what is your app going to be, or what is it being designed to help your target market do? Is it being designed to help them maintain, to fall into this maintain zone where they are streamlining, right? So maybe they're streamlining internal processes, or they are optimizing systems within their industry, within their business, right? Or maybe they are enhancing something, right? Maybe they are just taking manual processes and converting them into automated processes, right? They're things that are going to help your target market, but if they aren't solved, they won't necessarily suffer even more than they already were, right? Does your solution apply to the repair or fix zone, where your app will be helping your target market, your businesses or consumers, fix an immediate or massive problem they're solving? Or does it help them scale? Is it going to help them grow in some way? Add on a new revenue stream? Expand their market, things like that. Will it help them make more money? So where does your solution fall? So ask yourself these 3 questions. Where was your market before the coronavirus happened? Where are they now? And where does your solution fall as it is now, right? You haven't pivoted, you've validated your idea before coronavirus. Where does that solution fall now? So after you've answered those questions, you need to understand that instead of pivoting your entire app idea, because some founders are trying to do that. They're saying, hey, this idea is no longer relevant. I need to do something totally different, and I need to figure out what needs to happen now. Instead of doing that and just completely doing a 180 on your plan, you need to align these questions, right, within your market and your solution, and then change your messaging instead. So what does that look like? Well, let's say that First, let's look at where your market falls right now, right after the coronavirus. So let's say that they are in the repair or fix stage now because their doors have been forced to shut entirely. And let's say that your idea was actually originally going to help them maintain, right? So originally it was going to help them streamline or optimize or enhance their operations. But now, because of the coronavirus, your market has fallen back to this end of the spectrum where instead of streamlining or optimizing anything, they really just need to fix their immediate problem, right? Well, let me, put it this way. Chances are your app idea doesn't need to change just because your market has gone from this part of the spectrum over to this part over here, right? Your app idea could probably still apply to them and probably still help them with their problem in the part of the spectrum they are on without your app idea actually changing all that much. It probably still helps them solve their problem, right? So you just need to figure out how to change your messaging so that you can become relevant to the problem they're experiencing now, and then help them, once that problem has been fixed, help them push back toward the end of the spectrum they were originally on. Okay, so uh, let me give you a real life example of this. So we have a client who just started working with us last week, and she's building an app for an industry that has actually completely shut its doors right now. Okay, so nothing is happening in that industry right now. But instead of pivoting her idea and changing her entire idea, she decided to still pursue it because the demand for her app was already there before the coronavirus. And after the coronavirus, that demand is going to return, that market is going to rebound, and her app is going to become more relevant than ever before. So instead of changing her entire idea, she's just going to be adapting her messaging to become more relevant, right? So her idea, let me just get my pen here. Her idea originally applied to this scale end of the spectrum for her target market. Now, after the coronavirus, right, her market is now way over here, okay? But her app idea is still going to help that market regardless of which end of the spectrum they're on, because her solution, it can be applied to any portion of the spectrum, right? It can be adapted. She doesn't need to pivot. What she needs to do is just change her messaging to help her market understand, hey, because of everything that's happened, you need to fix an immediate problem so that you can even come back and think about scaling, right? Now, my app is designed to help you scale, but because you need to come over here and focus on this problem right now, that's what we're going to do first. And then we're going to come back to, scaling later on. But her app idea doesn't actually have to change because her solution will help them it'll help them solve these problems in any portion of the spectrum. And it might take a little bit of creativity, but my guess is your app is probably the same. Your solution will probably apply to multiple stages on this spectrum, right? So it's, the focus here is on the messaging, right? It's conveying that your solution is still going to be relevant regardless of where your market is, but it's not even just about messaging. Okay, so this can apply to other areas too, right? So maybe, within the scope of your app idea, maybe your original plan was to focus on a certain feature set first. Well, maybe because of everything that's happened, you're just going to focus on a different feature set instead, right? Still features that were well within the scope of your app, but your priorities and what you will build first will just shift because maybe certain features in your app will be more relevant to the current stage of your market, and maybe other features that were already within your existing scope are more applicable to that portion of the spectrum that they want to get back to, or that they aspire to progress to, right? So it's, if you think about it, it's really about adapting, not pivoting. Okay. So pivoting takes massive time and resources. And that's why a lot of people have been confused with all the information being put out there right now about what entrepreneurs should do, what founders should do, and telling them to pivot. But pivoting, it can mean a lot of different things to different people. And in reality, pivoting takes a lot of resources, and it could just completely force you to start over. But really, chances are you don't need to start over. You just need to adapt. Okay. So adapting will let you maintain your focus, right? Remember, you already validated your solution. You already identified a problem. People already needed a solution before the coronavirus happened. They still need that solution, or they will need that solution in the near future. They might just be on a different part of this spectrum right now, but they're still going to aspire to get back to the portion of the spectrum that they were on before the coronavirus. So adapting lets you maintain your focus, but become more relevant to the current situations in your market. Okay, I hope that helps you take maybe a different perspective and see how you can continue moving forward without having to put way more energy and focus than you were anticipating. Okay, so really think about it. Do you need to pivot, or do you need to just adapt? So ask yourself the questions. Where was your market before the coronavirus? Where were they on this spectrum? Where are they now? And where's your solution? How can you meet your solution with where they are now, and then help them get back to where they were before, or where they want to be afterwards? Okay, so let me get your take. Are you pivoting, or are you adapting? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we will talk soon.